Good evening, welcome to the Tyngsborough Board of Health meeting for March 10th, 2025. I'm going to start with introductions. I'm Michael Roach, I'm the chairperson. Steve?
Steve Jeanette.
Sheila?
Hi, I'm Sheila Peralt.
I'm Echo Amar.
Carry on.
Angela Lemire.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to open the meeting with citizens and business time. Citizens or business owners may contact the Office of the Board of Health to request to address the Board of Health during citizen and business time. All right, we're going to move to the second item on is the hearings, the Bardiot Apprentice Licensure Application, SEMA, right?
CEO, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, excellent. All right, so we got documentation.
Yep, so we got the application from SEMA. SEMA,
CEO, it's fine.
sorry.
It's okay.
So he's applying for an apprenticeship license. Everything, I think it looks all right on the application. And then he also has supporting documents. Let me see what he has. Certificate of completion for the skin course that he took with the Massachusetts tattoo skin course. That was one of the approved company. The adult first aid and CPR. He submitted proof that this was an in-person training. Bloodborne pathogen course. I believe this is online, which is, I think, allowed. That's just a certification that it was an in-person training. Hepatitis B, sorry. All right, sorry. Very sensitive. All right, sorry. All right, can you see that okay? Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay. We're good with this? Any questions?
Well, yeah, we do have questions.
Okay,
on this.
sorry, I'm
I-
so sorry.
you don't
There you
have
go.
to.
You can move to the
It's
next
kinda
one.
like
We'll-
headache.
We'll come back to this one. Is there any
Yeah.
other ones?
All right.
Liability?
Liability insurance as required, 1 million per, body artist, his identification. This is the test for TB. This is the workers' comp affidavit, and that's it. And do you want me to go back to the
You can.
All right, close it all up.
So, maybe just before we get to the happy stuff, apprenticeship, did he already do that, or?
No, he's applying to be an apprentice. Yeah,
Okay.
under ASH.
Okay, and then we have the new documentation for that, which is the tracking of clients and stuff.
Yes. Yes, and they have a copy of it as well, and it can be downloaded from online, I
Yeah, we
believe.
actually have it saved on our desktop.
Okay. Yeah. And I also did an inspection last week, and did actually a whole inspection. And look, the room was a new room too that they built for Simon, and it looked fine. I had no issues with it. I didn't find any violations with it.
Sinks.
Got sink, got the sand set up as ash, everything is disposable, everything's gonna be wrapped, the cord, anything that's not disposable is gonna be wrapped. And they'll change it if there's any kind of contamination.
And how would you say your training is it like an industry standard where?
Yeah.
like-
I'm incredibly hands-on for a mentor.
Okay.
You find with apprenticeships, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
So for lack of a better term, my mentor was pretty hands-off, so I wanted to make sure that I'm incredibly hands-on,
Okay.
cause that would have saved me a lot of learning time during my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So I I've had him like sit in and watch me tattoo. I've had him doing pretty much everything bar tattooing. So I will be there with him the entire time.
And what is usually the length of time for an apprenticeship? Like
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
So you've logged in hours as an apprentice?
Yep. Yeah, so what I've been doing is I have a spreadsheet on my computer at the shop where I log how many hours he's there a day, which is pretty much as long as I've been there. So he works pretty much the same hours as me. And I work there 5 days a week from 11 to 6. So he's logging some good hours.
But he's logged hours in before he's applied for the apprenticeship.
Not anything that's body art related, all very like cleaning the shop, watching, because I know part of it is you have
Is
to shadow,
observation.
yeah, so observation. The only thing that he's touched machine-wise is grapefruit for practice, but other than that, he hasn't touched any clients.
Grapefruit, huh?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, it's a good way to get used to the machine and like the
I
depth
buy a
of the
lot of
needle.
grapefruit.
Yeah.
I like grapefruit.
Yeah, it's funny, we've had people come in, we have like a mini fridge and I'll have him store it in there so he can tattoo it later and they're like, is that a tattooed grapefruit? I'm like, that's how you learn.
That's funny. So is the apprenticeship, is it time or is it hours? Is it 2 years
It's
or is
hours.
it so many hours?
Yeah, it's 2 years or 2,400
100
hours,
hours,
yeah,
yeah.
Put in the work, probably get done
Right.
faster.
right.
Okay, another question.
If we could go back to the hepatitis B, so when we looked it up, that hepatitis B looks like it's a 3 injection series.
Sure.
But you had said earlier before we started our meeting that you've had many hepatitis B injections, so would you mind clarifying what you mean by that?
Well, when you come from a foreign country to America, they make you take a ton of shots for everything. So yeah, I know for a fact that was a thing. I don't know if there's like a certain time line of how many you're supposed to have.
Yeah, you're supposed to,
periods?
like I said, have it,
Yeah.
and then a month later have the second injection, and then 6 months later have the third injection.
Mhm.
So that's the one piece, like if you came to America and you had shots
Yeah,
coming in, I
yeah.
don't think you had the series,
I'm not
unless
sure.
you remember
It was
specific.
25 years ago. I couldn't tell you, to be honest, but
Yeah, I think the issue
I
that we're
can't.
running into is we're not sure where to find proof that he has it. But I mean, if it's a matter of him just getting the booster, or the continuation of the shots, we can do that.
Yeah,
It's just
not
tough
a
to
problem.
find, cause with mine, I got lucky finding mine, cause I've been going to the same doctor since I was little, and they actually have it on record. I think with him, it's a little tougher.
I agree, it's gonna be very tough, but it's also kind of something that's
No, no,
critical
yep.
in your field, that one, he's immunized against
Sure.
hepatitis B properly, so that there's no risk. This would have been something that you would have had as a child, but I don't know, you said you grew up in Russia?
yes, I moved here when I was 10.
See, I'm not sure if that, it's a
Yeah.
United States requirement that I'm familiar with. Not sure if it's, are you looking that up?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the,
See, I can't.
more or less the, schedule for like adults, I guess, like if you're an infant.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's
You would
either-
do that series through, right?
I do
And then-
believe that they had me take all those shots before entering the public school system when I came to America.
And then it has.
Because once
Oh, there
again,
you
they
go.
couldn't exactly look up what the Soviet Union did. So, but.
Massachusetts schools?
Yes, Massachusetts school, sir. But I can't-
Public schools?
Yes,
School nurses are gonna be all over.
I can't look
I
further
know,
into that.
I know.
I'm
So
sure
the
my mother
question
will probably be able to find it.
Is the question his hepatitis shot, whether it was given or not? Is that the question?
No, one was given,
Hmm.
but we don't know if it was the booster or the series.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like they said since we don't know your history, they were just gonna do like a booster,
Yeah.
I would say.
But I'm
Just
surprised
to
they didn't
kinda-
do it tighter before the booster, which isn't making sense, cause like if you're gonna do the booster, typically, like if you, let's say, got exposed for you guys through, a shop, then people would be tested, but you would have your titer level drawn to see if what your risk would be after being exposed to potential hepatitis B blood. So you got a shot.
So that, in this table, it says people with additional risk factors such as healthcare professional, public safety personnel with reasonably anticipated risk for blood and body contaminated bodily fluids, if never previously screened, tested for the panel, unless they're age 18 years, completed vaccine series as an infant, or just vaccinate, is the last vaccination recommendation is just vaccinate. Because if he was just an adult with no known risk factors for Hep B, vaccination adults age 19 to 59. But the screening and testing recommendation is still do the panel. It just seems like the panel's the answer for all the middle.
Are you on the CDC
CDC,
website?
yeah.
So what is it saying for him? 1 injection? That doesn't make sense. Is that what you're saying, or
It just
3?
says vaccinate, it doesn't say 3. If
Oh,
he's
to
18,
take a vaccination.
yeah, if he's 18, less than 18 years old, complete the series as an infant. Even for the healthcare personnel.
Right, because we have to take the
Right, so
3,
if
no
you
matter
go into
what our
work in the
age, yeah.
healthcare, they probably do a titer for us,
Yeah.
and then say, oh, you need a booster or not. But if he was in the public school system in Massachusetts, I'm sure they wouldn't let him in without the series.
Well, I don't know if that's as concerning as like measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, even though it's part of the immunization. So when you went to like a walk-in center to get this one, did they ask you questions when you were there? Such as, like, did you just say, I'm here because I need a hepatitis shot?
I had recommendations, I mean, obviously requirements to do this, so yeah, I told them that I was there for that specifically, so, yeah.
And they didn't tell you to come back in a month and then
No.
6 months? Did they tell you it was a one and done shot?
Yeah, and they, left, you can see a little barcode thing on that.
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
that she kept going back and
Yeah.
forth, specifically for the type of vaccination they gave me
Yeah, we
in
can see
case,
that.
yeah.
That is the type of vaccination
Yeah.
that you would get.
They did not tell me
Even
to
for
come
the
back for another
3-time
one.
series though, it's the same drug for the 3
Yeah,
times.
so for the grades, for pretty much all the grades, it says the same thing. 3 doses, laboratory evidence of immunity acceptable. So for grades kindergarten through 6, 7 through 12, same thing, lab evidence, immunity acceptable. 2 doses of hepatitis B given on or after 18 years of age are acceptable. And then for college, Hep B, 3 doses lab evidence of immunity acceptable, 2 doses of Hep B given on or after 18 years are acceptable.
But we don't even have an immune status.
But for him to probably get in, he would have to have 3 doses.
Yeah, I've also been to college too.
In the
In the United States, correct, yeah.
So we could do like a titer, but it would have to be after a few months.
Would you be able to get,
College?
college records
Yeah.
of things that you submit, or at least even a college,
I went to the New Art Institute. I'm not sure if there's still a college anymore. It was a for-profit school that got sued by the Department of Education and whatnot.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
so
Wanna
I don't
dive into
think
that,
so.
but I can probably get whatever records. I just have to obviously contact my mother, because that's the person that'll probably have them. But yes, I've been in America since I was 10. I've been a public school student the entire time, and I'm also a college graduate, also in America, in Massachusetts as well.
Titer.
Well, when was that? That was in September, so it's been close to 6 months already.
Yeah.
So we could do the titer maybe now. See, I'm just surprised that they didn't do the titer on you and then decided whether or not you needed a booster.
She might have gotten a B without needing it.
It kind of
I
like they
mean-
put the card in front of the horse, but, where did you go to school, public school?
I went to middle school in Lowell Arts Magnet first, then I was at Hunking in Haverhill, Massachusetts for middle school, and then I was in Haverhill High for high school, also in Massachusetts.
I wonder if the school would still have this immunization. What year did you graduate high school? I'm asking.
2007.
2007?
So the Massachusetts Immunization Information Systems, MIIS, maintains a record of vaccination. You guys should have that.
Actually, I used to be able to access it. just
During COVID, right?
During COVID, but Ashley should be able to access it. I can email her and see if I can get,
That's the statewide
yeah.
database, so that you probably shouldn't even have to go on it.
So we may be able to go on the state database to see, because you graduated in 2007, so it still
That's
should
correct.
be in there. And then if by chance that it's not, if it's in there and it said you had the series, had booster, then we'd be fine with that, but if it doesn't maybe add up, then maybe you could just go get a titer just to protect yourself. And, so that there's no risk
Obviously,
to
that's
you
not a
not
problem.
being covered.
He's willing to take the second and the third shots.
I know, but there's no, there's
I'll do
kind of.
4, I don't really care.
I wouldn't.
There's kind of no
I'll
need,
take
you
that.
don't need it, but, and we don't even know how long the immunization lasts, which is.
Yeah, I'm also not quite aware of
It's
that.
only about 10 years, I think. But you think you can get Ashley to look into it?
Yeah, what's your date of birth?
4/16/1989.
4/16, 1989?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then it looks like you've been exposed to TB.
I was not exposed to TB. The type of vaccination that the Soviet Union gave
BCG.
to kids gives false positives. It is a known thing in the industry, and that's why they gave me an X-ray to make sure and to for proof, further proof. But no, I was never exposed to tuberculosis. No.
Okay. But now that quantiferon plus test for that too. But the chest X-ray rules you out anyways for
Yes.
TB. But moving forward,
This has been a known thing in my life in
oh
America.
yeah, I mean, anybody that
Not
had
the
the
first time.
BCG vaccine
Yeah.
will automatically, because you got the live TB in the vaccination to boost your immune system. So anybody that had that vaccine will always for the rest of their life test
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, from my hospital standpoint, they stopped routine testing us for, because they were like, only with a known exposure, then they would test you and follow you up. But after that, we used to have to do it every day, every time by our birthday. We have to get that
2
little
years, right.
injection. We're like, now it's not even, that's how many years, so.
I only know at the college, they have to have the quantiferon plus. And they're trying to switch everybody over to that. So we can deal with that anyways, that's down the road.
Okay, so any other questions?
Guys have any questions for him at all?
Nope.
You asked all the questions.
That mouth always asks questions.
No, you're very thorough.
All right, I make a motion that we accept the apprentice application for SEMA pool. Sorry, I didn't get you.
That's okay.
Do you want any?
With,
With exception.
conditionally, with just checking in on the hepatitis B vaccination series with the thought, if we're not able to solve this, that maybe you could at least go for a booster.
Of course.
Or go for a titer, I'm sorry, you might have already had the booster, just go for a titer and rule everything out.
So a motion to, accept the application with the condition that he, pending,
Verification of the
Verification.
hepatitis B vaccination status.
Yeah.
If we're not able to do that, then at the minimum, go get a titer.
Okay.
To make sure everyone's set and safe.
And what result should the titer gives him in order for him to move on?
The titer's gonna be fine, I would think, because he got a shot. So
Okay.
it'll just be verification more so than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, if that thing couldn't find anything.
All right, so it's either or, okay.
Yeah. Second there?
Once again,
Okay. All right, we'll take a vote. Steve?
In favor?
Sheila?
In favor.
Echo?
in favor.
And I'm in favor as well. Do that.
So, when everything is all set, when the results come in, or if I find out if you had a series, or if not, go do a titer, and once you get those, then we'll be able to issue you an apprenticeship license,
Sure. Okay.
and then you can start.
Beautiful.
All right.
Sounds good. Do you guys have any questions for me before we head out?
Buy more grapefruit.
I gotta be on some sort of a list at this point.
I don't listen.
Suspiciously
Really?
amount.
Yeah,
Should
because a
I,
lot of medications you can't take with grapefruit
It's also true, that is
juice
correct.
Yeah.
I
Because
do
it
know
causes
that.
toxicity.
You're right.
Should I look for an email? Because I know you said Ashley's going to be searching whenever you get a hold of her to see if you can find the public record. Should I keep an eye out for an email from you guys to confirm whether or not he has to get the?
Yeah, well, if he gets it, if everything's all set, we approve the online application,
Okay.
and that should send you an email
Sure.
and telling you that everything is all set.
Oh, cool.
And then
Okay.
you'll be able to print your
Right,
permit.
hang it in his room. Otherwise, I'm assuming you'll reach out and tell me to tell him to go get tested. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, that makes
exactly.
sense. Cool.
Okay.
Beautiful. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate your time. I hope everybody enjoys the warmer weather coming. Hopefully it stays that way. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
And now, don't jinx it.
All right, cool. Well, thank
Keep
you.
the wind calm too.
Yeah, oh my goodness, the wind was crazy. It was pushing my car everywhere the other day.
All right.
Well, everybody have a good evening.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you, guys. Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
All right, next item is the Charles George 5-year review.
Okay. Do you want us to shut the door?
Well, it sounds like it's getting heated down there.
No, I think citizens' time is over and they're all gathered.
Ah. Thought I was missing something.
Well, we are missing
So Charles George has done their 5 years review. They have taken water samples of their observation wells as well, I think, of the neighboring wells in that area. So as usual, they issued this letter as a recommendation for the Board of Health that that the board considered any wells that is within the radius of the map, which I believe is it a 5-mile radius? Sorry, yeah, that to consult with them and Mass DEP. And I believe I have brought this before the board before. You wanna go, I think, in previous times. on a, you wanna consider it as the application come in and go from there whether to allow the installation of the wells or not within the radius.
So just to catch me up to speed a little bit, this, wells are not allowed in this perimeter.
It is allowed, so,
No, I think we got
yep, and
one,
I
'cause I
think
live here.
it is allowed, but any new wells that, that comes in, they want us to, if we are gonna allow them to come in, install a new well, at least consult with them so they can, I think, speak with them on, what hazards there may be because of the leachate from the landfill itself.
Okay.
Only new wells, right? New wells?
Only new wells.
I mean, 'cause, so Redgate Road is here, and most of Redgate is wells. Some of it is, like, we don't have town water.
You don't have town water in your area, right? You I think it's on
Well,
Tyngsborough Road.
Diamond and Emerald
Past it.
got
Okay.
water. So it's not existing wells.
So it's just to make the contractor aware of what the site is.
Yeah, what the size is and, well, I think preferably they rather that they connect to municipal water. But if they're not willing to, then at least be aware of like, you're within so many, feet of the, Charles George landfill.
Yep.
And it also covers, existing property owners if they want water quality analysis done. That's the last sentence of the, on page 1. It's a 1 mile radius.
Okay.
Yeah, but it looks like they provided water through Knoll for the Cannon Gate condominium complex. 24 residential well water users along Dunstable to Cannon Gate.
I think that's, they have water, they don't have septic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have, I think, a map of where the water lines are.
Just out of curiosity, this is a 5-year review. Do they review every 5 years and make different suggestions based off of their findings? Because it does say here, that the area is considered very conservative and should not be interpreted to mean that groundwater contamination has
Right.
been detected throughout this area.
So I know, the last time, I think they detected, PFAS, and the time before, they detected, some other chemicals. I mean, it's not at a high level, but it's, where it triggered, a concern for them. So, yeah, every 5 years, when
Do a
they do,
study.
yeah, they do a study.
All right.
We good?
Well, I think maybe, how the board wants to move forward with the policy of new wells coming in. Do we wanna make like, institute a policy that would have EPA and Mass DEP consulted prior to the installation of any, new wells within that well radius, or within that, radius of the landfill.
No, that sounds reasonable.
Okay.
What's that process look like, I wonder, is it, you know, how responsive is the Mass Department of Health and the EPA? You know, is it gonna delay construction for months, or, I guess, would be one concern, I'm not saying it's a reason not to do it, but it would be a concern.
Yeah. So, I think the last time was like to bring the case before the Board of Health, which they have to wait until the Board of Health meeting. If there's an emergency, if they're like, oh, you know, our well runs dry and we need water, we can do it on an emergency basis too, right? Like, okay, you need a new well, since you already have an old one, then, you can install it without, bringing it before the board or before, EPA or Mass DEP review.
So is this all developed land already, is there any opportunity for
Mhm.
development?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now what they
Not
have
yet.
is the solar panels on top of it, but it's not.
Right, but I mean,
In the area.
Oh,
yeah,
in the area.
in the vicinity
No.
that could be affected.
No, 'cause across, like this whole area, it's just forest, I don't know who owns it, the land across.
It's actually on Dunstable.
That's on Dunstable Road,
I think that's in Dunstable.
That's in all in Dunstable, everything's on the left side here,
it's Dunstable,
is Dunstable.
Oh, yeah, there's the border.
yeah,
So there's your border.
oh, that's the border, oh, okay.
Dunstable, so this is Tyngsborough.
That shows that.
Oh, then our section.
But this would be like
yeah.
the new fire station.
Well, maybe.
I mean, I think an emergency, don't you get the well tested for water quality anyway before they let you start drinking out of it? So like, I know when I put mine.
I don't know if it's
like-
required, is it required?
I think it is through the Massachusetts.
It's noted through, our local Board of Health regulation, when you install a new well, you have to do a water test.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I think they can consult with EPA, but the water test comes back fine to be drinking.
Water tests for certain things, and there's
Yeah.
different levels of water tests you can do. Would a typical water test detect whatever our concerns are here?
I think if it's deemed to be drinkable,
Then we can approve.
but if you're doing a site construction and you're gonna pull permits, then I think it's, yeah, they're in the radius, add them to the EPA, you have months to discuss with the EPA, Mass DPH before they throw that well in. I think an emergency basis,
Yeah,
follow
we can
the
have a
regular rules.
conversation, I think we can have a conversation with, I think, the homeowner too, and say, okay, you're within the radius of this.
Yeah.
There's, municipal water if you wanna connect, but if you insist on putting in a well, I don't think we can stop them from putting in a well, but at least they're aware
yeah,
of what's going on.
cause there would be water, there's already water nearby, they didn't tie in, or?
I think some, it's too far to tie in, but most I think can tie in,
Okay.
into, municipal water.
But they probably already did, right?
Most
After
tie
this-
in, no,
Oh,
there's
okay.
still quite a few people who still on private wells. They didn't have to connect to it when they brought in the, water line,
Sweet. Figure it out.
but it's available if they want it.
Yep. So if theirs well fails, and maybe they can choose to tie in, but they already know they're in that area.
And if their well fails and they're gonna do another well, they've been drinking it for 30 years anyways.
It's like, what am I gonna tell you now? Really?
Damage done.
Just,
Except when you have
oh,
grandkids.
now, the last 30 years, you shouldn't have been drinking that. I don't know, that's common sense, I would say.
Alright, so you want a motion?
If I I can have.
I mean,
all-
yeah, yeah. Can I have a little bit more discussion? Okay.
So what did we say you wanna have them talk to,
Well, should we have the discussion before we vote?
oh, we can still discuss.
Yeah. So I think on emergency basis, they put it in the well, they have water testing per our regulations anyways, that they have to test to be deemed drinkable. At that time, you can alert them and say, you're in that area. Do you know, you have the option to tie in. But for any new construction type things, consult with the EPA, ask the EP because you have time. Because they're gonna give his email and the phone number
Yeah.
in here, but it's also.
So is the testing done before installation, or is the testing done after installation?
After.
So they're asking that they be consulted before installation.
I think they offered consultation, right? Are they
Yeah,
requirement?
That's what they recommended, that they be consulted before.
For any new
If
ones that
it would
come
like to
in.
discuss. Yeah, I don't see it as a requirement, but.
In the second paragraph,
Mm.
towards the middle, says EPA therefore recommends the Tyngsborough Board of Health to institute a policy that would have EPA and MassDOT consulted prior to installation of any private wells within the designated well installation review area.
Yeah, this type of review would evaluate whether a private well is installed in a location that may have potential groundwater contamination from the offsite migration of the site related contamination. Yeah, I think this is where I was saying the same thing of if it's new construction prior to installation, all that stuff, you might wanna get the sign off here. What do we do in an emergency if somebody needs like, I need running water? I'm in a house with water, that needs water, existing well. To give the option of, you might be able to tie in, given you know the map. Or get going, cause you've had it for the last 30 years and you just. We
Yeah.
can, I don't know how responsive they're gonna be, like, just like you said.
Yeah,
it could
if
be
they're
like-
not responsive, I think we can move on with like, you know, an emergency,
Hearing, yeah.
yeah, or installation. I think even the same thing with septic system, if there's an emergency, we don't bring it before you guys, we just like, okay, let's fix that as soon as possible.
Yeah, the flexibility.
So that's an emergency repair, yeah.
So towards the bottom of the second paragraph, it says EPA continues to evaluate several private wells that are already in the vicinity. So are they making those results available to you? Because that's information.
Yeah, it's available online, they actually have a website of all this, the studies that they do.
And how often are they conducting these
Every 5
analyses?
years.
Just every 5 years?
Every 5 years, they do a full study of it.
And they just sample the wells, or they analyze every well?
So they have monitoring wells that they analyze, and then they actually go knocking on the doors because the phone calls and the letters, sometimes they don't get response.
Never get
So the last round, they actually go around knocking doors and, speaking with homeowners to see if they can test the wells.
They actually even have like a sign up so you can get an email. It's like this whole, their whole website is the Charles George's landfill from the EPA. So you can sign up for the mailing list. They have like everything, like even the background on what happened. Documents and data. Some reports.
funded site,
It is.
yeah.
Superfund, what is that?
It's mean they
It's not good.
have, it's been really bad, and they, I think, spend a lot of money, covering the landfill, make sure that all the, leachate are not, leaking out from the, landfill, but of course, water travels, and you don't know how deep it travels and where it travels to, so.
Hmm.
So once it's closed, they, I think it's part of the requirement, they still have to monitor it,
Yeah, and they have their own wells that they drilled, testing wells.
yes.
Yeah, they have documents going back to 1983. Every 4 or 5 years, they're publishing something. There was 2 publications in '88. So, seems like they're on top of it.
And I think our website has a link to that as
To
well.
this page, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So like a yes to consult, emergency,
It's, I think ultimately it's what's still up to us whether we move forward or not. I think it's just a policy for them to consult Mass DEP and, EPA before installing a new well
Yeah.
in those areas.
yeah. They'll have the time to do.
Yeah, none of this, it doesn't dictate anything.
No.
Yeah,
It's all recommendations
Yeah.
and suggestions.
yeah. And
Not-
this way it puts the policy in our mind too at the office that, okay, this is that we, something that we have to keep an eye on and that we have to do.
Yeah. Okay. Make a policy motion.
I make a motion that the Tyngsborough Board of Health institutes a policy that would have EPA and Mass DEP consulted prior to any installation of any private wells within the designated well installation review area surrounding the old Charles landfill.
Anybody want a second, or?
Torn.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you guys want?
I don't like the mandate part of it, but I understand the seriousness of it. I just don't like mandates. You know, offer consultation, offer information. That's just my nature, so no.
So they would be mandating them basically to consult with.
Consult, yeah, I read it right off of what it says here.
But, yeah, no, I get that part. Do we wanna have like a condition with that if it's like an emergency issue, we have a hearing?
In my opinion, it goes without saying, I mean, I don't like the mandate, because the EPA, DEP, how responsive are they? You know, it just sounds like red tape to me.
They would be responsive to this because this was a huge problem that hit our town and anybody that was on this side of the river. Cause it was a landfill that was very contaminatory to everything around that arc.
And I have no experience with the DEP or EPA,
Well,
it's government.
yeah, they've been pretty responsive, to the town because they're not only dealing with like the Board of Health, but like the sewer department too. So I think when I send them an email, they'll pretty much get back to me within 24 hours. they're the one that who did the study. They know where, like, okay, this area tends to get more, leachate, or like how the water flows more to this area, and this area may be okay because the way it's sloped. So they're like, they know the site very, very well.
Okay.
Would you want something like a rider that says,
Excuse me.
if there was no response within an acceptable time frame, we'll have a here and here, so that,
Well, I guess I don't know what this looks like. All right, Steve Jeanette wants to go build a new house.
yep,
I have to get approval from the EPA and the DEP and the Board of Health. How many months is that gonna take me, or is it days, you know?
right, right.
As far as somebody's well failing, drill, maybe drill.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know what that looks like, consulting with the DEP and the EPA. You know, to me, they're big government monstrosities that do good work, but they are what they are, they're huge. So, but if you tell me, you know, is this a consultation? Are they coming out to the site, visiting the site and consulting with the contractor? Or is it just, hey, we're thinking about drilling a well here, you know, a phone call from you or an email from you?
To say that I can go ahead and do it, then, yeah, but if you're waiting 3 months for that answer, you're like, I'm still waiting on Mass DEP, you're just gonna have them up your butt in the office going, what is going on, I wanna get going.
I think at the end of the day, it's water safety.
Yep.
And so I don't think you can sit here and project how long it's gonna take for DEP or EPA to get back in time. I'm not sure that should even be part of the conversation.
Well, if all these people, I guess I'm operating under the, you know, assumption that all these people that live on this land or adjacent to it, their water's been deemed safe to drink? Not so much? That's a
I
bad
don't know.
assumption?
I don't know, we all have private wells. I don't even drink my own well water. I mean, that's the only people that are at risk, is the well,
Right.
water residents.
Yeah.
The way I'm reading it, it's, and from the information they're providing us, it seems as if they're doing the testing, then it's just like Kerry was saying, they're going to tell you the likelihood of your well being contaminated. They're not really going to, I think, stop you from testing, and like the data being publicly available, you could actually, if they're delaying, you could have a consultant just take a look at the data, looking at the layout of the land and the topography, tell you where the water is flowing, you know, the likelihood of you getting contaminated water.
That's an
So I
expense
think-
to you.
Yeah, so I think we can write the policy more as a recommendation, not as a hard fast, like it has to be in place, but to let the property owners know that this, the water around this landfill was deemed contaminated at some point above levels that are acceptable. And so it is recommended that you get, you know, consultation or advice from the DP, Mass DEP and EPA before you go ahead. But if somebody insists on going ahead, then of course they probably can't, because if we write it as a recommendation, then they have the option to accept or not accept it.
Yeah, the other piece of this, like we said earlier, when they drill the well, they test the water. So, you know, they drill the well, the test comes back bad.
You've lost money though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
so I guess what are you saying? The EPA might say, don't drill here, drill over here?
Maybe they may know, if, given the size of the land that somebody has, they could probably say, okay, it flows more in this direction, so try on that side.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is where we find, like, you know, when we test it, this is the area we find some chemicals or whatever.
no, all very valuable information, helpful and all that. It just, I keep coming back to that mandate word, but, I'm not gonna die on that hill.
Yeah, no, I think if somebody's building a house a mile out from where it's supposed to be, through all the roads and the houses and everything, they're building a well down here, and you're waiting 3 months for the EPA to consult you to say that it's potentially contaminated. Cause you can't get a building permit here without a water permit,
You don't need water in first.
Okay.
Yeah, and building permit sometimes it doesn't like gets approval right away. There's like a process of review, building reviews, board of health review, fire, and, you know, like reviewing the plans before, it's approved to be built, and once it's approved, that's when they start the work. So, and then, usually a well driller can, depending on their schedule, they can come in, drill the well. I think they can do it within a day or two, depending on their availability and how deep they go and whether they find water or not.
And they test it, and you gotta wait for the report to come back. Meanwhile, like,
Yeah.
your building is going up.
Yeah, your building can go up, you can make connection to, the well, and then, usually they get the reading either from the spigot outside, or sometimes the owner wants it from where they're, source of drinking, and if there's any contamination or if there's any, reading that's higher than the limit, they put in a water filtration system or treatment system to help elevate whatever,
Which kinda goes back to what he was saying, like the EPA is just another
Step.
but I
in
think
there.
in this part, it's good, at least like EPA and DEP is like giving I think, good information to.
I agree with the information.
Yeah, to, whoever's, you're not just putting it blindly, and like Echo said, if you're putting in an area that, oh, I wanna put it at this in here, and you go through the drilling, and it's not cheap. The wells are not cheap, depending on how deep you go. And now it's like, oh, no matter what you do, you can't get rid of this source of contamination already, and now you're stuck either like trying to find like a super fancy system to try to eliminate it, or have to abandon the well. And I think it's good information that whoever wants, a well owner wanna put it in, at least they know what they're getting themselves into.
No, I agree, the information is very helpful.
Yeah.
Does the Board of Health get test results? When somebody comes in and drills a new well, do you receive test results?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So you'd be aware if the well was contaminated?
Yeah.
So is this more of like a buyer beware? Like, were you drilling in an area that has a 1 mile road radius of Charles George's?
I think it's more information, so somebody knows that this landfill existed here 25 years
Mhm.
ago,
Yeah.
and potentially there's still contamination in the soil. And you may, in choosing to put a well in here, have to consider the possibility of having a filtration system.
So in a way, so it's almost like, as long as the EPA doesn't have to say, they're not the no-go people.
Yeah, I think it would be up to us at local level, it's like, hey, your water is still contaminated, you have to fix it, we can't approve it and let you drink it, and then something happen later, it falls on the Board of Health. I think we're the one that's issuing the permit for the wells, and whether we approve that well or not after, the test results.
So would you look at the EPA and DEP's involvement, you raised another point in my mind, as a layer of protection for the Board of Health in the town? If they, so is this the type of consultation they're talking about, they're gonna come in, they bless the well, soup to nuts, if we did everything they wanted, do they approve the well when it's done,
I don't think.
liability wise? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, I think it's just consultation. I don't think they.
Why are they saying it now? Like,
They-
why are they asking us for a policy
They,
25 years now versus like last year? Their last review in 2020?
last review, they asked for the same thing.
Oh, we just didn't do it.
At one point, I think we probably did it, probably even before my time, but this comes up every 5 years. I think the last time I brought it before the board too, and it depends on like how you wanna go, forward with it. I think the last time the board voted, you know what, bring it before us, for the board to review.
So this one back in 2020 said, during the last two 5-year review periods, the only ROD standards, which are above the applicable standards of any monitoring wells, have been arsenic, lead, and benzene. The most recent lead and benzene exceedances were detected in December of 2009. Therefore, arsenic was the only ROD listed COC detected above its applicable standard during this 5-year period.
Do you know if Dunstable's done anything
Excuse me.
in regards to creating a policy or not?
I don't know.
You know, if previous boards haven't taken action on it, you know, in Tyngsborough, is there a reason?
There's really, I think looking probably at the last, I think it was 20, I don't think there was any separate reason why they, like, one institute a policy, maybe one was instituted before my time, but I think during my time here, it was just a discussion and then like, well, you know what, we wanna review, the wild applications that come in that area. So, I think it's just,
Well, that's the other thing, are we, you know, what's the likelihood that there's gonna be a lot of wells drilled there? I mean, are we talking about something that's probably not that big a deal? I mean, they're not gonna happen that frequently, if at all. You know, if there's no developable land, and everybody has a well, unless it fails, that's the only time it's gonna come up. And if the well fails, we're gonna consider that an emergency situation, right? I don't know, overthinking it probably.
I think it's just good information, to be honest with you.
Oh, I agree 100% with sharing the information, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess upon the permit process, are we the ones that are holding it up because we haven't gotten the answer from the EPA yet? If we were to adopt the policy, right? Somebody comes in, gets asked for a permit, we said, oh, did we consult yet with Mass DEP? We need that consultation. Is that on the board to make that phone call, email to the Mass DEP, or is it on the person requesting the permit?
I think it can be either way. It's like I can let, DEP or Mass DEP know that, okay, here's a well that's going in, and, or the homeowner or can like, do you know what, I wanna talk to them, or, you know, it can be a combination of both. It's like, let me introduce you to Mass DEP and have a conversation. So the owner go, do you know what, I want a number to call them, here's the phone number, here's the email. And meanwhile, I think I can let EPA know that this homeowner is interested, give them a heads up so that, you know, when the person calls, like, you know, that they know that this person is gonna call and be on the lookout for the phone call or the email. Cause I know sometimes email just get lost in, a heap of things.
Well, this guy gave his personal EPA.gov that email.
Well, they have like people assigned to certain, areas, so it's not like one guy who oversees the whole United States or just Massachusetts. I think they have like different agents that see a certain part of Massachusetts. Like DEP, they have the Northeast region, they have the, different parts of the regions where it's assigned. I think they have like 5 or 6, DEP that oversee, different regions of the Massachusetts.
I think, would the board ever be like, we didn't hear back, we're delaying the application until we do, or because it's a consultative in nature? It was, we provided you the recommendation, you took it or you didn't take it, but if you drill the well, it's on you, and if the water quality comes back, it's still on you.
Yeah, I think the homeowners are, I think water quality is very important, that hopefully they find out as much as they can about their water before they start putting it into their body. And if this is an avenue for them to go learn more about it.
I think Steve brings up a good point in asking the question, why didn't previous boards of health do something? Why is it on us this time around?
I don't know why the previous Board of Health didn't do it, honestly, I mean.
Well, Michael and I would have been on here, so,
COVID was
we
awful.
didn't, so.
Yeah.
They
And they
probably
actually-
have
they
done
never-
it before, boards of doctors have been on the longest. So I don't think, maybe the last time, we might not have, but I don't,
Because I think if there was any urgency to have a policy in place, it would have been at the first discovery, there should have been a policy put in place, but if it wasn't, what was the reasoning behind it? And the Mass DEP and EPA probably know the reason, even if we can find it, they know what happened at the time when they first discovered the contaminations.
I don't know the answer to like that part. But I think,
I'm just thinking
I
out
do
loud,
think
yeah.
that there's been policies,
Well, that raises the question, where is that policy,
I don't know, so maybe if you guys want, Carrie and Angela can kind of look into see if there's been a policy, but again, this is a catastrophe that occurred in Tyngsborough, and this is protective of any resident who's gonna drill for a water source.
I think that if it's not non-binding, then there's nothing wrong with having the person reach out or us reach out to them and say they're gonna be starting one, because it's non-binding. If we don't hear back, you gave the information to the person to reach out. I think the rider on it that says if you don't hear for more than a month or two, then it's up to the resident what they want to do with that.
They just keep coming back to the testing, if the testing is good, it's good.
Yeah, I don't think they're telling you
Right.
not any, like you don't test or
Right.
anything like that. It's, they still wouldn't, if they fail and it's the arsenic that's through the roof, they're not gonna pass it anyways.
And as far as, maybe oversimplifying it, but as far as location of the well where you should drill, a lot of land doesn't have, unless you're talking 20 acres or even 10 acres,
They can't tell you where.
either the ground's contaminated or it's not.
But also, as we've learned through this, is it all depends where your septic's gonna be.
Right, and a lot of things dictate where the well
Yeah,
goes.
and it's
You may
gonna
not
be
have a lot,
100 feet away from that, so
you may not have a lot of options.
you don't have a lot of options anyway, so.
But you have municipal water.
Or you have municipal water, that's all it is,
Well-
Like,
it's.
connect to municipal water, okay.
What I'm not
you-
saying is we could use this as a hammer to coerce people into.
No, it's like use municipal, okay, you don't want to, you wanna install a well, then he'll find out more, a little bit about what's going on in the area. Here's the people who knows what's going on in the area.
I think we all agree, I mean, I'll absolutely share the information. Information,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is important. I'm just trying to figure out the other
Yeah.
end of it.
As long as it's non-binding, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so we gotta go back, cause I made a policy and no one seconded, so
Correct.
we have to continue with that and take that off. And then someone else is gonna make a non-binding policy or whatever you want.
So if nobody seconded it, we don't even have to vote on it, it was never
Correct,
seconded.
but it has to still be in the minutes that it
Yeah.
was created and there was no second.
Angela, are you able to read it back? I don't remember
I don't know what it's. I read on this.
15 minutes of
I read it on
discussion.
this.
It was right in the middle.
Sheila motion that the Tyngsborough Board of Health would state a policy that would, institute a policy that would have EPA and Mass DEP consult
It's right off here, right?
Consulted.
I
I'm
read
trying to
right
read my writing.
prior to installation of any private well within the designated well installation
better.
review it. I read it right off of the second paragraph.
Copy and paste.
Pretty much.
It works.
So can we sort of like add to that?
No, let it die and then someone else make a new one.
How's it die?
No one seconded, so it's
Those dead.
a mute point. Yep.
So I guess at this point, someone make a new motion.
Yeah, cause just for your knowledge that it was only for that, it's for a private well installed in a location that may have potential groundwater contamination from like their conservative circle of 1 mile.
By conservative, you take that to mean
And
generous.
it should not be interpreted to mean the groundwater contamination has been detected throughout this area.
So it also doesn't mean it wasn't, like the way that they wrote that piece,
So
they're not coming out and saying that there was absolutely no groundwater contamination.
No,
Which
no.
would have been a better statement if there really wasn't,
Right.
they left it vague.
And maybe they have more information at the
Because I think
EPA.
it probably back, I think it was probably even 30 years that I was there. There probably was, there was definitely groundwater contamination.
Well, it's the same thing with like our septic rules here in Massachusetts. Like, it's 100 feet from, what is it, the boundary, or whatever, 25 feet from, or, yeah, 100 feet from a wall or something. New Hampshire, it's 75 feet. Now, New Hampshire's like right there. You know, we're not saying that this arbitrary circle of 1 mile in radius, that if you build it at 1.2 miles, then it might not be affected. It could be.
Yeah.
It's up right outside the thing. They're just being conservative by going out a mile. Obviously, the closer you are to that landfill, you're gonna wanna double check things, but there's some,
But they do
even
state-
outside of it, those people may not be made known that they're close to that
Oh,
1
no,
mile boundary.
everyone knew.
Oh, no, everybody knew, but like any new people coming in and building,
It was plastered all over the TV, the news, Boston Globe, everybody in Massachusetts knew Tyngsborough had issues with the
Is that the
landfill.
John Travolta movie? No, that was Grace Woolber.
That's Woburn.
Grace Dearborn and Woburn.
What movie is that?
same exact conversation.
W.R. Grace, what Grace, W.R. Grace, with
W.R.
the paint dump it into the ground, got into the water supply and caused leukemia.
A lot of cancer movement as a result. It was a national story, huge.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of the Aaron Brockovich.
No, I forget the name of
That
it,
was-
it was final something.
That one is in Woburn too, Aaron Brockovich.
Erin Brockovich of Massachusetts?
Isn't that the same?
No,
movie?
that was-
No, she's
that
not,
wasn't
she's
Massachusetts.
not in Woburn, she
Texas.
did something else, yeah, she
Texas.
was
That was
down
down
south.
south.
Oh,
Oh,
I
okay.
remember it was south, I just. don't
But it was
remember.
water.
That was water, yeah, it was just
Water.
the name of it.
probably the drilling, the oil.
But, I know, I get it, like, all that stuff is, they just don't know how far it travels, so they're saying, we drew a conservative mile radius,
It's civil action, John?
Yes,
Yes.
that's what it was.
and if you're within that
You have to
mile,
Yeah, I'm gonna go find it.
consult
It was a good movie.
us.
Civil action.
Probably get it on VHS.
1996.
It's on Blu-ray.
It is stuck.
Yeah, so. I would think, I mean, my personal feeling would be if it's not binding, they're gonna be outside that, well, that arc or inside. It's only asking for inside that conservative mile that people be made aware.
Then someone's gonna make a motion not to do anything.
Yeah, but also like like they were saying, like the last, I mean, we're going on like the 7th 5-year review and nobody's made anything to say, because maybe people just knew the last 35 years plus, that you're not gonna want water there.
That was good belaboring this conversation. So what is the EPA, people who live there, the EPA comes in, tests their wells, their own test wells in some houses, whatever. And they haven't found anything, I assume, too crazy that all hell broke loose, if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have illnesses or anything else that's putting Tyngsborough on the map. You know, even if you had like a grouping of autism around the water supply, we don't even have that, never mind
Mhm.
cancer deaths. And maybe everyone has a water filtration system there, and that could be a reason too why we're not, like, we're playing with history that we really don't have any statistics on, but it could be that too.
So, private wells near the site would be considered advisable as a conservative measure since there has been groundwater contamination detected on the site and at its perimeter above the EPA maximum contaminant levels. Therefore, they recommend us to do a consultation within the well installation review area.
I mean, what's the motion gonna sound like? We offer this information for your use or for your consideration.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it whatever motion. If it gets seconded, then we can have a discussion on it. And within that discussion, if it gets shot down, or we vote on it and get shot down, then we do another motion, or we can motion to table it.
Do we wanna see if there is a policy in place from past boards? Do we know there isn't one in place, or?
It's just, research going through the minutes.
Oh.
Sometimes I think even when it's discussed in here, the board made a policy, sometimes it's not written, just, you know, it's just a lot of things going on, sometimes like, okay, let's made a motion to put this policy in place, and that's recorded in the meeting minutes, but if it's not, I think written anywhere else, I haven't seen it written anywhere else besides, I think, going through, the meeting minutes to see if there's any decision that had been made by the Board of Health.
So you're saying we don't have like policies and procedure, like manual, we don't have it all compiled together? All our policies exist only in the minutes?
Sometimes when we make policies, it is written out and it's just a simple, you know, consult the EPA and Mass DEP. Or sometimes it's just something that, you know, you say it and I try to remember it and make sure that it's done. I don't go back and to the office and just write that one sentence.
Jody, who used to work in the office, could do that. She knew where everything was, who said what, when, and where.
Yeah.
And it was all up here, so when Joni left, everything went with Joni.
And I don't have what John has.
I was like, she worked there for a really long time.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that as part of the permit application itself, that the contact information for the EPA and the Mass DEP be included with the understanding that this area, you know, this area of concern. So, that's awkward. You can get my gist though.
Do you wanna
I don't know what
restate
you
it
meant.
so that it's, clear in the,
Articulate? When you're asking a lot.
I don't
No,
know
I-
what you mean. Like, I gotta be honest, I'm sitting right here.
What I'm trying to do is just make the information available to the people and make it part of their permit application, so they can't say they didn't get it.
So if you're making it part, are you doing it as an FYI,
Yes.
take it or
Yes.
leave it?
Informational.
Or are you, like, get this done before the process
No.
continues?
Informational only, specific to that area. So, that was my objective.
That's clearer than what you said.
Quick, write that down. All right, I will make a motion to make part of the permit application for a private well to include contact information for the EPA and the Mass DEP and their concerns regarding the well area, Charles George Reclamation Trust landfill, 1 mile radius around it.
I'll second that.
Okay, sorry, Angela.
Yes. Motion and seconded, any more discussion on that? To provide an informational with their application saying you're gonna wanna consult, you've been made aware.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. You know, it raises the problem that, does that go out with every well application? Or do we have to remember, only these people get that notification, but
Is there a checkbox or anything that you can put on the permit that says, oh, within restricted area? Cause it should be us, not so much the,
I can put a checkbox that said, are you within this area,
yeah,
and
like
then show.
one
the
sentence,
map.
are you within the, what's the word?
The review
The well
area.
distribution review area of Charles George's landfill or something like
Yeah.
that. Yes, no. If yes, the EPA information.
from a liability perspective, would you want to go so far as to have them sign off that they read it or received it?
I would think that's the offices that,
So if yes, here's the number to contact Mass DEP and EPA for consultation.
that's what they asked us to do.
Yeah.
That was it.
that what you're kinda looking for?
Yep.
Okay.
More succinctly put.
It would be the EPA, Mass DEP, that would almost tell them, you absolutely do not, we've found levels through blah, 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 blah. That's the consultation that they're gonna have with them.
That's the same thing that's on here.
Did I cut and paste?
No, I cut and paste. But what you're saying is you're gonna give the information and tell them to,
No, I think what they were saying was the consultation prior, and he's providing the information,
to
not,
go get the consultation.
no, he's providing information to these who are stopping there.
Yeah.
Right, and this is what they asked for, is consult us. Right? The second paragraph?
Mhm.
What I think he was concerned about was if a consultation didn't happen,
Oh,
There's a
yes, I've
process
been
of-
sitting here knowing exactly what he's concerned about.
yeah.
Who, me?
And how long it'll take and being held up.
Honestly, it. not
I would
at all.
think.
It's, sometimes it takes forever to get these things.
Oh, well, yes, I agree on that.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's a damn contractor.
Blaming the E EPA.
But then they blame the EPA, like, oh, you said you had to consult them, so, yeah, I haven't called them, we'll call them next week. Yep.
Okay, call a second.
I think Echo could second that one, right?
Yeah, I see it now.
Okay, so we will take a vote. Steve,
In favor.
Sheila,
In favor.
Echo,
In favor.
and I'm in favor as well. All right, let's move to the next item. Any Board of Health updates?
Board of Health updates.
Director updates.
Well, you guys got a new, calendar, I hope, that has all
Oh,
the crisis
Jesus, I didn't even
information.
open it.
I didn't open it.
I can only tell you that people in my little neighborhood have no idea what goes out when. And every other home, something else is out there.
Somebody's off.
Like, I don't know why they did this, because every street you could kind of go and you followed everybody on the street. Nobody still has a clue what should be out.
Okay, well, that last calendar hopefully like looks familiar enough that they would follow it.
Hopefully everybody opens it now.
I know, instead of throwing it in the trash.
Well, maybe you might wanna say that the one that was recently mailed out is the most accurate, as long as
Yeah,
it
of
is.
this date.
Yeah, because I just, like, Fred was like, how come I'm getting this again, and who's making all of these mistakes, so.
Yeah,
Even
and is there
if
a
you
way
put
that we
something
can
on
also
TV.
dispel the rumor that the taxpayers didn't have to pay for it again? It was all on the vendor, and the vendor took care of it. Like, could be some hidden cost in our,
And it was their mistake to begin with.
it was their mistake
Not
to
ours.
begin with, like, but like the BOH got like land basin sending it out, and it was like, and actually when you look at it, it just had the Tyngsborough coat of arms, it never even said Board of Health. And I think on the one that I got, maybe I'm writing, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't think it said it, that it was,
Yeah, I think the first two was like, Republic
Republic,
Services sent
yeah.
out, and I think we kinda say that in, posting on Facebook and anywhere else, or when people call.
Every single person who calls.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
said,
I told them.
Republic Services made a mistake.
exactly.
About how many was that?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot, like
Yeah.
all over Facebook.
Yeah, because everybody was like confused, I was like, okay, if you're on this side of the river, you're this weekend, if you're.
I know, and that
It's
makes
like-
the simplest sense to have done what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
But then the
I think we
second one
talked about it
came
for
out and
years.
that
Huh?
just,
Like,
oh, I
just
know.
just
Do it
threw
that way, and
everybody
they
off.
just were waiting for new management to come in and do it the way that we've been saying for years. I don't know why they crossed the bridge 400 times.
Yeah, that's why we agreed to the changes, it's like, okay, that makes sense, you know? So, just wanna let you know that, with the grant, the Public Health Excellence Grant, because we haven't hired a health inspector yet, we are able to get a consultant group to do food inspections for us. so they started last week and the inspections are starting to come in.
Oh.
So, yeah, so that's good. Hopefully, we'll get enough inspections done before we hire the next health inspector. And then I think,
Cholesterol clinic.
okay.
We have another cholesterol clinics coming up, March 31st. So we're looking forward to that. And then our health fair update. We haven't had our meeting yet. We're having that Wednesday, but, we're off to a pretty good start. We've had 7 vendors sign up so far. So I thought that was pretty good for being so early. So we're still working on that. And I'm not sure if we told you we had a name for it. So the name's gonna be the grand opening of the Ironwood Park and Health Fair. So that's the official name.
Oh, okay.
Nice long name.
Did you hear about the name, the reason behind the name?
Hmm.
It's because it used to be the golf course, so iron
Oh.
and woods
Wood.
are
Oh.
used for golf. Clever.
Okay, that is
And
very
Ironwood
good.
is actually a real tree.
It's a real tree.
It's a real tree
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna plant one there that day.
For real?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, I think that's what Allison said, they're gonna plant one, the day of the opening.
That's in June, right?
Yes, June 8th June 7th, with the rain day of June 8th, I believe, that's Saturday.
Did we ever get an update on, you know how we made that change so that you guys were gonna chase people down after, for their permits
Oh,
and
the
license?
permits.
Like, how did that go?
So our permits were pretty good this year,
Really?
actually.
Well, what a
So,
friend.
I didn't have too many late permits
Yeah.
coming in.
Okay.
I had a few stragglers just getting the paperwork, but it was more of, need to get the grease trap cleaned, they had to push it off, the ground was frozen, like,
Yeah.
normal
Oh, out of
things.
their control.
You know, normal things,
Yeah.
so, I had 2 stragglers, that was it. So, and it was, one of them was under new management, miscommunications, and the other one was just, can't make up excuses, but we're working on it. So that was that was good,
Oh, good.
so, yeah. Yep,
Okay.
this was a good year. Next year's gonna be even better,
That's the attitude, I like it.
yeah.
Okay. Meeting minutes for approval, let's see. December 9th, 2024.
I think you're missing,
That's okay, I don't need it.
if you like this.
Did you end up watching?
Me? No.
Okay.
So you 3
We
don't.
3
Can
can
you
vote.
vote?
Then you're missing this.
There's something wrong here. The very first motion. So it says, I made the motion. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm
I was
wrong.
like, did I mess it up already?
I read it wrong.
It was just the 3 of them and I can't remember. Just say it.
Yeah.
9th, 2024, as so written.
Seconded?
Seconded, take a vote, Echo,
In favor.
Steve,
In favor.
Sheila.
I abstain.
I'm in favor as well. 3-0. Okay, next one is February 10th. Echo. Steve, did you watch it at all?
I did not.
Okay.
This one has Steve voting when he wasn't here.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, on page 2.
Wonder if that was supposed to be SP instead of SP.
Should be SP.
So on, where's his 3? ADU policy. Right above that, EEA seconds,
Yeah, that's
and then SP.
SP.
You care about typos? Page 3, about a quarter of the way down, it says MW of this policy, if for guidance. I assume that should be his.
Did you guys print the town calendars? So this was under the recycling schedule?
No, it was done by the printer who's normally.
Okay. You just say we are printing the town calendars now and sending them out early.
Well, I guess the town, we had them printed.
Who is we?
The town, so
Oh.
we made them and sent them to the printer. Republic Service didn't do these ones. this is our annual town calendar that gets sent out usually in June.
Okay,
So maybe we change it to the Board of Health.
well, that's what I'm just saying, like, Michael's point was well taken. I don't know who the we are printing the town calendars, if it's, like, who paid for this? Did we pay for these?
Yes.
Yes.
Which we would have paid for anyways, because we do it every
Right.
year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I
So
want
instead
the
of
changes?
the 12 calendar, 12 months, it included the actual 4 months.
No, I don't think we have to,
Okay.
like we were just talking about who's getting the blame.
These new correct ones.
I hope they're right.
Read it. And it's our annual one that we normally would have done, just did it a little early.
All right, I make a motion that we accept the minutes of Monday, February 10th with corrections.
Second it.
Okay, discussion, no. Take a vote, Echo,
In favor.
Steve?
Oh, I can't, sorry,
Yep.
my bad.
Oh, so you seconded.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, Sheila.
I second.
I can go now, seconds. Any discussion? No, okay, so vote. Echo,
In favor.
Steve,
Abstain.
Abstain.
Sheila.
I'd rather hide.
He's gonna get used to this.
Good favor.
And I'm in favor as well. 3-0. Alright. New business. Have you guys heard anything on fluoride in the water?
No,
Nothing from Massachusetts?
no.
Interesting, okay. Can we add it as new business next time?
Fluoride? Okay. To make it, we sure can. What am I supposed to be hearing from the state?
I don't know, like, I just heard just this week, or last week or something, Utah just banned it throughout the entire state of Utah,
Yeah, so.
Okay.
so. Pretty interesting. Florida is looking at it too.
Okay.
It'd be interesting. Have we heard anything from Massachusetts?
Doubt it.
Okay.
Can we also, put it to, discuss, putting together all our policies as one manual? Just start the conversation on what it will take to get it done and see if we can put that together.
What policies, like,
Like, so, you know how, in our discussion, it was basically, said that your predecessor had everything, in her head, and there was nothing on paper. I think that's fine, it's happened and it's in the past. But I think if we know that, then going forward, we should try and put it together, so for, future generations that will come, they can look, 25 years from now, they can look back and see that we did deal with the Charles River thing, the landfill. It's been already, just flipping through a collection of policies, you see that it's been dealt with. Do we need to revise it, or do we just move on? That's what I think, and I think it's just something to start the conversation, to to see what it will take to get it done and how it can get done.
So I think what we have, I think probably that one policy that we discussed, I think most of everything we have are regulations, whether it's a Board of Health regulations or state regulations. So, do you want the policies and regulations?
Do we have that? Cause I asked initially if we had it in one place.
As the regulations,
Yes.
we
Yeah.
do have all the regulations, they're online as well, and then, they're, I think,
So for instance, the policy we just voted on, that Steve made a motion for, will it go into that?
I was gonna put it on as part of the,
The application.
Permit
application,
application.
so that anybody who goes there can see that it is a policy that's gonna be instituted.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
But
if-
what I'm actually saying is documenting is that the Board of Health has instituted this. So it's on the application, that's one thing, but if somebody just takes a look at, looking at the policies and flips through, they realize that concerning the landfill, this was an action that the Board of Health took, which is separate from the application.
Like, in the hospital systems, we have policies and procedure manuals, like either in binders or online, that we just go to and say we have a policy on my line of work, stress testing, and this is our policy and what we follow. And any changes that we make, we update the policy.
Or we could create it in Teams, 'cause we still use Teams here, right? Microsoft Teams, or even a Dropbox, so that, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to live with a huge policy and procedure manual, but I think someplace that we could go to quickly and look up the history of something.
Seems like you have, a lot of the stuff that we do, which is probably why Carrie, a lot of the changes that we do make actually affect our permits and applications and stuff like that whole apprentice thing. It is all now a complete application process, so all the decisions that we made and we made policies actually turns into a permit.
Regulations.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so we did ask to make an update to the actual application permit, that documentation we provided for consultation, but the discussion around that, I think what Ed was asking for is if we have it officially written down when people come in for permits, it's in a binder, flip to the permit online, and we'll say,
But the discussion would stay with the minutes.
right, and that's where he's kinda saying, like, we have to go through the 5 years ago,
Right,
in
but if you-
March, we made that
But if you did it
decision.
like in Microsoft Teams,
Yeah.
or you put it in a Dropbox, dated by the date, and it still lives on forever. Just a thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I just make an electronic copy, like this policy, an electronic copy, save it to the Charles George Manfield, or,
So
Because-
this is not specific for the landfill. So I'm not asking that we discuss it like right now. I'm saying that we put it on the agenda for upcoming meetings where we learn first what is being done. And then from what is being done, is there a need, for instance, to get a consultant that comes in to look at it and say, we're gonna index it this way, as in, this is how we're gonna do it. This is the system we're gonna do it with, so that it's an easy process of, if we're looking, if you put in a search and you just, hit Charles River landfill, it pulls up everything under it. So it's everything, every decision that's made affecting something, especially when we make a policy, we have it in one place. So I'm not asking for that discussion right now. I'm asking that it be put on the agenda one at a time, where we can spend time to look into it, and then from that, do we make a decision, do we keep it the same? That's what I'm asking, maybe I wasn't too clear at the beginning.
reasonable to have the discussion with it on the agenda.
Yeah, we can have it on the next agenda, and, I think what I'm kinda struggling with is like, there are not that many policies, and are you looking for like us to, I guess, write up, like, for example, if they're applying for a landfill or a well within that land review, that 1 mile radius.
I think it's even simpler than that, like, I think when he asks you, why haven't other boards voted on a policy? And you were like, I would have to go through the meeting minutes to see if they did it, but to your knowledge, nobody made a policy on it.
Yeah.
So why we're asking now, so if he was like, or if you point me to the document that you guys made a policy, nope, nobody made a policy. So I think it was just, I can see where he was going, because again, I would point to my policies at the hospital saying, this department is following these policies. We don't have everything written down, but a lot of the stuff that we do, protocols and testing, I think he's just looking for that, if he were to ask this again in the future, you would be able to flip to a binder and be like, yeah, we don't have a policy on this, or we do. If it's all in the meeting minutes and we can discuss it then, that might be sufficient to do a meeting minutes search to see if something pops up. Cause how far back do our minutes go? Years, right? I think I'm able to see it online,
Yeah,
go back for
yeah.
years.
Before electronic copies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it'd be reasonable just to discuss what the workload is on policies.
I mean, isn't it as simple as, for lack of a better word, a binder, something you can, so,
Mhm.
policy 1, policy 2, policy 3, policy 4, if it's not in book, then it's not a policy.
Yeah, but we're taking these votes to make policies.
So you want a record of how it came to be?
Well, I think that's what he's asking, is like, is there like a record keeping of it? And Sheila might be saying, yeah, it's in the minutes, but.
Oh, I thought he was looking for just a central location where
Yeah, and it
all our
could be.
policies are in place.
Yeah, and it could be, and then we can have that discussion. I think it was just, most of the stuff that I brought up, we actually put it into action by making a permit, because that's a lot of the stuff that we do is permitting, inspections and stuff. So you have our policies implemented based on what we do, but there is some things like this which was brought up today, wasn't on there before, nobody, you said it, they've been asking us every 5 years to make a policy and nobody's done it. And so,
Or chose not to, you know.
or chose not to,
So we can talk about that next week,
next month.
next month.
You wanna come back next week?
No.
You wanna come back? Does somebody wanna take a vote?
I'm getting this, I wanna leave now.
I make a motion to close the meeting as of
I'll second it.
7
Oops, sorry.
o'clock, is that right? No, it's 8.
No, it's
8
not.
o'clock.
Holy crap.
Excuse me.
I keep forgetting.
All in
Seconded.
favor?
I'll second it.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just bummed me out.
I know, I thought it was.
Holy
We're not done yet.